How do you find the will to fight back against a world that wants to keep you sedated, average, and stuck in place? Join us for the tools and strategies you need to create a life of abundance, discipline, and high achievement. This is the Tactical Empire with Jeff Smith.
Welcome to the next episode of the Tactical Empire. I'm joined by Sean. What is up, man?
Well, you know I'm going to say it. Well, right before we hit record, Jeff took his fingers and combed them over his ear as if he had hair to pull behind his ear. And if you're watching the YouTube video, you can see that him and I both shave our head. But we do get the long hairs that the stragglers, as he called them. And you cannot, I mean, they have to be pretty long. That one kind of tucks, but the other ones don't. So we had a good laugh about that, Jeff. But it is time. You can see my thinning in the middle. So it is time for me to shave my head yet again.
Yep. Same. I got my boy back on the train. So he was growing his hair out for like 8 months, wouldn't cut. And so then he finally got up. He's like, "Dad, I hate this hair. And let's shave it." And I was like, "All right, let's do it."
It's interesting because my wife was sending my son to the barbershop and the haircut takes 5 minutes and it's like $15. And I'm like, what? Like, one, why don't we just try and trim it ourselves? Two, why don't we shave it like Daddy does? And she was completely against the shaving, but then for some reason she started shaving it. And, seeing like a little 4-year-old run around with their head shaved is interesting, but now it's winter time. It's going to get cold. I'm like, maybe we should let him grow it out. But I'm sure when he sees me shave my head in the next day or so, he will want his head shaved. But, talk about managing expenses. It definitely helps not taking your son to a $15 barbershop, that's not expensive, but it adds up when it's like every couple of weeks.
Every dollar counts, man.
Man, we're recording November 11th. So this is our first time to get together since, a little thing known as the United States of America's election for president. And it's no secret that Donald J. Trump has rose from the ashes. I think the one quote I heard on one of the commentaries was the phoenix rising, the greatest phoenix rising, the greatest comeback in political history, whatever you want to call it. Listen, America has spoken. We have voting for a reason. And, apparently the tally marks this time around have shown that we voted for someone with over 5 million more votes than another person. So the only thing that matters to us is what does the potential landscape of this decision look like, and how can we maximize our potential over the next 4 years. And like you said in the last episode, you run the Tactical Empire to help others, but that is, it's a self-serving thing. And one of my economic teachers taught me that, everyone acts in their own self-interest. And then people are like, well, what about people that donate money and donate time to charities? It's like, deep down, those things make them feel good. So it's still a self-serving act. So when I say maximize our potential, what people need to realize is the men in the group own businesses. They work for another business that they're helping build. They're hiring people. And if they're investing in real estate, they're hiring plumbers, they're hiring property managers, they're hiring cleaners. So when we say maximize our potential, we mean maximize those that are in our sphere of influence's potential as well. So Jeff, how do you feel now that the election is over? Number one, and what are we telling the men in the first week of, obviously the transition hasn't happened. So we do have 60 days or whatever it is. And a lot can happen. A lot can happen in those 60 days before someone gets in office. But where are we at now? Where are you at now?
Cautiously optimistic.
Sure.
I'm obviously excited. From one perspective, I'm excited about, first of all, the quote unquote promises that have been made by the campaign. Also, the seemingly the alignment of teammates he's putting together. I love the people that are being brought onto the team this time. They're not big government. They're not part of the old guard as much at all. So that's very interesting. The thing I will say, because I would be remiss not to say it, is that like that was not what I expected. I expected all kinds of fucking shenanigans, and it it went down very smoothly and weirdly, in my opinion. So when I say I'm cautiously optimistic, um, I am cautiously optimistic that they will fulfill on, let's say, 50% of the promises, whatever. But I'm actually more inclined to take a wait and see approach to if we can actually get to fucking January 6th and then January 20th, because something about that day last Tuesday felt super fucking weird. Like all signs were pointing to weirdness happening and a bunch of shit being pulled. And then like it seemed like somebody called it off or something. Because then it went way too smoothly and it's like, oh, he wins. And what can we do? And I'm like, well,
We might not know. We might not know for 3, 4 days, and then 2:30, 1:30 in the morning, they started celebrating, and 2:30 they called it or whatever it is. So I can see where you're coming from.
to me, that was fucking weird. Just, and so I don't know. I don't know. They've already tried to kill him twice. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But for now, knowing what we know, can we have a sense of optimism? Yes. And the things that I'm most excited about definitely are the taxes and the way that they have proposed to change the tax code to an extent and incentivize businesses. We need businesses to get rolling. The other things that I'm very excited about are the deregulations, because people really don't understand that side of things. Most people don't understand that it costs $60,000 to $100,000 to pay for the permitting to do a start on a home. So like if you're going to build a house, you're into that house for 60 to 100 grand just to get through the red tape, to be able to fucking like do a survey on that land, to be able to break ground. And so like you wonder why houses are $432,000 at a fucking median home price across the country. It's because it costs $100,000 to fucking start building the thing. And so if we can't get our government out of our way, how could we ever catch up on the 7 to 10 million house shortages that we have? Because people don't have the appetite to build at a level where they're doing $100,000 investment into fucking admin work before they ever even get started on a property or a project to put someone in. Like that's whether you're building it yourself or like you're building it for profit to sell it to somebody else and you're a builder. And so like it's not these big bad business owners necessarily. It's like that is the cost of doing business to get there. And like that's a fucking travesty. Like each municipality should manage that shit at a way more efficient level. You can't tell me that it takes 60 grand of costs at all of government entities to get started on a home. It just makes no sense. Like, yes, there should be some regulation. You can't build this house on a hill that's going to fall down the fucking hill and kill everybody or do a bunch of shit. Like there's reasonable regulation to be put involved, but like not to the point where it drives up home prices so exponentially that no one can afford homes. So that said, energy is something I'm super bullish on. Being from Texas, I understand what the Keystone Pipeline did, what all the drilling in Odessa did during Trump's first term. We've seen it. We've seen it. We had $1.79 gas. Like, and we had a surplus of oil that we were exporting. We became the largest energy exporters during his first term. No one really knows that. We were self-sustaining on our own energy at that point in time and became the number one exporter in the world. And so like when you think about that from a safety standpoint, from a security standpoint, from a like cost of living standpoint, it's tremendous for everybody. And so like I'm looking forward to that. The other things that are interesting are like, I mean, it looks like more people are going to be employed, right? When you kill all that energy production, like a lot of people go out of, like they lose their jobs. They go unemployed, right? The thing that I'm worried about is how long it's gonna take to put these people back online. Because like, they've been out of work in that industry for 4 years, so they had to go find something else. It's not like it happened 4 months ago, and they're like, "Hey, pull me off the bench, coach." No, they've went and transitioned to these other areas. Like, if you haven't lived in an energy corridor or something like Texas, like, you don't really understand the upstream and the downstream effects of a powerful energy program, because like, for every huge massive business that you see, Shell oil, whatever, like, there's a fucking thousand medium to small businesses servicing those things, and like, that's who employs our neighbors, and that's who employs the real country, right? These businesses with 8 to 10 employees that are a trucking business or something like that. Like, when you allow those guys to get back online, it puts everybody in position to thrive. And so I'm just excited for the middle class and the lower middle class that has just been getting fucking bled to death over the last few years. So I hope that these changes, they I know economically that they will benefit them. And so I'm just really looking forward to those guys. I feel like they've been living with the fucking boot on their throat for a few years, and
Yeah.
it's not, I hate the word fair at all, but it's unnecessary.
Well, yeah, I don't think saying it's fair is not. I mean, it's not wrong. I've said it on other podcasts over the past year and a half that we've been recording together. It's like I don't know how low and middle class people have been making it work. I can't. I'm from a middle class family. Me too. I grew up in a household where I fucking dude, I stood on stage in front of 750 people and told everyone that at Disney World, my dad bought one fucking $12 water for a family of 5 because he didn't want to spend the money on it. And we had to split it between 5 people in the middle of summer in Florida. Like I come from a household where pennies were pinched. And so even though thankfully and gratefully I'm in a better spot. My wife has a fantastic job, and we have opportunities that other people haven't had or put themselves into a position to get. Um, I still deep down like there's part of me in my DNA where I scoff at walking into. I want to support local businesses, but when I walk into the ice cream shop that we patron almost every Friday from spring until fall. And the cost of 4 little ice creams goes from $12 to $25 for literally a scoop of ice cream in 4 cups, not even cones. Like, it's mind-blowing, and you wanna support these people. And so what I'm saying is, like, if people are living paycheck to paycheck, they're not even going out and doing that. They're not stimulating anything because they have a boot on their throat, as you described. And that's true. It's been super restrictive. And so, look, I'm not an economist. I'm not trying to create plans to solve all these problems that the United States has found themselves in. But as a small, and I say super small business owner, when my taxes are higher, I can't hire more people when I keep getting letters from state agencies saying this new act has been passed and you need to submit this form and pay $250 a year, like that fucking eats at the dollars that we can pay someone else. And yes, pay my own family to do what? Go buy things. And every time we buy something, someone else is earning a dollar that they can pay to someone else. I want to see the money cycle through the private sector, not the government sector. I don't want the taxes, and God forbid, going to other countries to do things that I don't want our country to be involved in, but I'm only one person. But it feels like, as you said, it feels like the tide has shifted. I was very cautiously optimistic a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when I finally started, listening to certain people about, listen, you guys are going to realize X, Y, and Z, but you never saw that on TV. You never saw on TV people talking about the chemicals in our food. You never saw people on TV talking about the wasted monies and sending bodies to war in these wars that the American citizens don't want our children fighting in. But over the past 12 months, dude, I have seen it, and that makes me happily optimistic instead of cautiously optimistic that, I'm seeing people share this content. I'm seeing people talk, and I'm only 36, and so obviously politics didn't really matter to me when I was, under 10. When I was a teenager, it was like, where am I going to play football? Where am I going to go to college? How am I going to get a job? But I essentially have grown up my adult life. 9/11 happened. I was 13 years old. So basically, since I've been a teenager, I've seen war. I've seen war. And I've never seen politicians of other parties come together. My entire adult life has been, you have Democrats, you have conservatives. When they're trying to get their Democratic nomination and they're trying to get the Republican nomination, they all talk shit on each other. And then once a nominee has been chosen, they all support that person that they just talk shit on. That's what I've seen in politics my entire adult life. What happened over the past 6 months, is the first time I've seen people from another party outwardly go support someone from the other party and bring people with them. And and tell me if that happened in your life at any point, but like I've read books on Abraham Lincoln and how he's put people he put people in the cabinet from the other party on purpose. I'm not a historian. I haven't read enough of those books, but like, how crazy and unique is the situation that we found ourselves in right now, with people coming together and outwardly exposing the shit that's been happening?
Well, I think part of it was like the administration that's just been in overplayed their hand, right? Like they made it so obvious that they were stealing from us, like and not just stealing from us, because most people have an appetite for that, like, oh, it's just government waste, whatever. That like we've been conditioned over years to just accept that and move on, right? Like, oh, they're sending $400 billion to Ukraine. How does that benefit us? But at the exact same time, they did what you were talking about. And what I said was that they had their boots on the throat of the majority of America. And then they just keep on doubling down. I just said they passed some fucking bill last week in California to raise gas prices 65 cents a gallon because of government regulations. Another 65 cents. It's the most expensive gas in the country, and they're going to put 65 cents on it. That shit matters to normal people. Like, and that's where they became so tone deaf that they lost the entire narrative, because the mainstream media is their fucking mouthpiece, right? And so where the mainstream media missed it was that, like, when your coffee goes from $2 a cup to fucking $6 a cup, those people that are on MSNBC or whatever, the mainstream media, they're making 750 grand, whatever. And like, they don't give a fuck. They'll go buy the $7 cup of coffee, $6 cup of coffee when it's gone up fucking 4x, right? But normal people feel that. And like, it's a simple analogy, but like, they were so blinded to their bubble that they didn't understand what was actually going on in middle America. When eggs go from $1.50 a dozen to fucking $11, like, you and then you go pile on it with like, hey guys, this is where what you said kind of plays into it. Like, not only were those prices fucking going up like crazy, like then they introduced RFK and actually gave him a fucking microphone to say, hey, all the shit you guys can afford is actually killing you. And people started opening their eyes to that, and they're like, well, what the fuck? Like, in the most developed, successful country in the world, we can't buy fucking safe food or drink safe water. Like, get the fuck out of here. And then, so more and more people are listening to it. Like, I just think people are like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? They're trying to take care of their family. They're trying to get food, shelter, and security, and then have a nickel left over to do something that is fun for their family. That's 95% of people out here trying to survive. And so when you tell them, hey man, there's glyphosate in this fucking food, they're like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and I don't have any time for it.
And the Kellogg CEO is telling them to have cereal for dinner because of inflation. Like, go fuck yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. But when you put it in simple terms and say, hey, your Fruit Loops in the United States has 36 ingredients and the Fruit Loops in Canada has 3. Why would that be? Then, like, those people just started connecting the dots, and they're like, well, this doesn't take very much of my time. Like, I get this now. Like, I don't have to be a fucking rocket scientist. They just laid it out to me in second grade terms that I can say 36 is a lot if there's only 12 miles north of here. Like, what the fuck is up with that? And so I just think the message, and the other thing that's beautiful is, like, the mainstream media got fucking destroyed in that election, in my opinion. Like, it was a total indictment on, like, we are not listening to you motherfuckers anymore at all, and, like, we're gonna go seek out alternative sources of information because 'cause we're not the fucking idiots that you say we are. Yeah, we can take whatever, Joe Rogan, we can take whatever, Dave Smith, the libertarian, and we can actually digest this information and process it and make our own decision. We don't need Joy Behar and The View to tell us, like, we should hate everybody and string these people up. Because, I mean, those are the people that I'm talking about that, like, couldn't give a fuck less if coffee goes to $50 a cup. They're so blinded by the reality of what's happening in the streets. And that's why you saw this huge movement. That's why you saw the popular vote won by millions, and no one expected it. And I think everyone expected it that wasn't involved in the Washington, D.C. circle. And to your point about the things I'm most excited about, I'm hoping that we bring manufacturing back to the United States and we start buying American-made goods that are sourced in America and everything else. And the tariffs that they're talking about are exactly what other countries do to us all the time. Like, they're doing it to us right now. And so, like, when you talk about the mainstream media bastardizing this tariff plan, because they're saying, oh, like, that'll be the death knell of our financial future, blah, blah, blah. And it's actually not true. Like, things are going to get more expensive or slightly more expensive or remain as expensive as they are right now. And then there's going to be a reset when things move back on shore. But guess what? Like, we're going to have that many more people employed that will actually have money in their bank account that can buy shit like that. So I'm optimistic. The optimistic thing about the manufacturing is huge. I think that'll be huge for America to produce goods here, to buy goods here. I think you've seen that trajectory kind of happen over the last 5 to 10 years. People are more interested in where their shit comes from. They're more interested in what the owner's involved in the company.
Oh, yeah.
Like, are they doing good in their local community? You've seen a movement in that direction, and now I think we're going to pour gasoline on it. And so from that perspective, that's tremendous. There's just a lot to be excited about, in my opinion, as far as, like, righting a bunch of these wrongs.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's obviously is apparent to us that America, aggregated macroeconomically, has huge potential over the next couple years. Some of these things that get implemented might take time to reap the rewards, of course. But from a micro standpoint, I think most people can be excited. Once the dust settles, they can be excited about potentially lower taxes or the business they work for being taxed lower, and hopefully that rolling into better wages. I hope taxes go lower on everyone's paycheck. I'm a big fan of that strategy. And obviously, most people in this country do drive gas guzzling vehicles, or they have an electric vehicle that needs energy as well. So energy prices going down are going to be fantastic. I want to see my electric bill go down at my house. I want to see my electric bill go down at my 34,000 square foot commercial building. We produce a lot of electricity and use up a lot of electricity here. I don't mind saving a tree by having less energy being produced at peak hours. I think most people can get on board with that. So what can people do to be prepared? And we don't, we could talk as low as, like, look, if you haven't been given a shit about tracking your personal finances and you've just been racking up credit card debt to live the life that you wanted to live, regardless of what happened with inflation, I think people need to start there. I mean, that's personal finance 101. People need to track their finances. And hopefully, as these prices or the major prices of the goods that we all pay for start to stabilize or hopefully reduce, you need to have a plan for that money. Where else do you see individuals having huge potential in the next 4 years?
I think, man, it's a great time to start a business. It really is, because of the tax benefits that we're talking about. It's a great time, I think, to be involved in hard assets and real estate and things like that, for sure. But I mean, the opportunities are going to be everywhere because of emerging markets. The other thing we were talking about, like if you do move manufacturing back to the United States, you think about every opportunity that that opens up. Because I talked about midstream to small time, like up and downstream when it comes to energy. That's going to be every industry. If we say that everything's got to be made in America or it's going to be tariffed or taxed on the way in, like there's just going to be an endless amount of opportunity for you to service a B2B relationship, business to business relationship, or a B2C relationship if you choose to do something like that. I think the main opportunities are going to be business to business though. And you're going to see a lot of like these blue collar companies just blow up that are servicing people, whether they're transportation, whether it's stuff like that, that are moving goods and services for people, not necessarily semis, but like you think about everything that goes into supporting all these companies. If we're moving like commercial space will be monstrous, right? Like if we now need all these manufacturing facilities in the United States, what blows up? Commercial warehouse space, right? Because now I need the ability to produce this stuff in in my own town, down the street where I can manage my workforce, blah blah blah. So manufacturing is going to be a huge opportunity. Um, Third party manufacturing is a huge opportunity. Like if you're already in manufacturing, how can you optimize your business or bring in like robotics that you can contract with B2B? We're doing some of that with one of the clients that I have right now in the Tactical Empire. And so they're investing in infrastructure for their business, but then once they optimize their business and produce all the stuff they need to for their company, then they're going to have the ability to contract out like 18 hours of production a day to other companies. So when I talk about B2B, it doesn't necessarily mean that like you have to go manufacture your own shit. You can go down the road. I can call Sean and say, hey man, Sean, you already manufacture stuff. Can you do 11,000 units a month from me? And if we contract to do it, and you're going to be like, hell yeah, we've got the capacity to do it. Or like, so there's, man, I don't know. For me, I could talk about this shit for 8 hours because I see opportunity everywhere. And if you're in a business, whether it's a service-based business or it's a product business, like you need to be looking for those opportunities as well. Like it's not necessarily to service someone else. It's like, what can we do that we do right now, but better? What I think, like, there's a lot of gym owners that listen to this, right? I think that gym owners are going to see a lot of ability to use HSAs. Because if we do get like a movement towards health, like I think there's going to be a mandate on HSAs or at the minimum, HSAs are able to be used for gym memberships, which saves you 30 cents on the dollar or whatever, right? Because you're using pre-tax money for your gym membership, which would be huge for them, right? Then you put together a model for how you bring in HSAs and how you file that stuff. And then all the way to where like you're seeing insurance already cover some of it altogether. And so like if you have going back to preventative maintenance, right? So like I think that people that own fitness facilities should be on the cutting edge of that type of stuff. Like, what do you have to do to be licensed to take insurance from these particular companies? Because that's a huge selling point for people. Because if they buy your $250 a month membership or whatever, like, would their insurance cover it entirely? Like, your membership could really grow if you target those particular people that have that particular insurance. Like, it's not rocket science. If they're going to cover it and you can tell them that, hey, you could buy this gym membership that you otherwise would think was unaffordable, like I'm going to go do this and get in the best shape of my life or whatever, right? So it's mutually beneficial to everybody. from that perspective. So that's something for the gym owners. I think that's something you should actually stay really in tune to, because it's appearing that the HSA thing is going to happen for sure. And then the insurance thing is going to take a little bit of time because of bureaucracy, but you're already seeing them do it. And by bureaucracy, I mean that the companies, these big corporations or Blue Cross Blue Shield, whatever the fuck it is, like they move slowly. And so I don't mean bureaucracy in the federal government necessarily.
Well, let me speak to the dummies like myself. That I'm a visionary, but I'm not as high up as Jeff is in seeing all the opportunities. So I'm going to talk to the self-labeled dummies like myself, which is, if you don't think that way, if you're not running a business, if you're not looking for the next big opportunity, not only do I want to say track your personal finances, if you just have an inkling of wanting to be better, of wanting to add value, and you don't own your own business, that's not a bad thing. Because what's about to happen when we talk about economic stimulus, when we talk about businesses, the people that run these businesses are going to be looking for people who are stepping up to the plate. If you have skirted by doing the bare minimum, I hope you aren't if you're listening to this motherfucking podcast. Probably not, but you may have taken advantage of, just shit hitting the fan over the past couple of years and, just falling into the muck and the mundane of what the majority of people have dealt with. It's time to step up. It's time to dust off your cleats, get your fucking big boy pants on, and it's time to add value. How can you walk into work every day and try and add as much top line revenue to that company? How can you service your clients even better? How can you make better relationships in the workplace? Because the people running these businesses, when they grow, they're going to be looking to level up the high achievers, and you need to present yourself as a high achiever. So regardless if you're out there trying to buy real estate, if you're trying to do some of the other things we talk on these podcasts, maybe you don't give a fuck about politics. You just want to stay in your bubble and worry about your family. Being a high achiever is going to help with that. And if you're not going to go start your own business, you got to build someone else's, and that's okay. But you have to put forth an effort, and you have to do more than the bare minimum. You have to do more than what they're asking, and you have to show that you are willing to learn, you're willing to try, you're willing to make mistakes, but you're willing to ask, how did I make a mistake and how can I do this better? And that's what I want people that think like me. It's like, what's in my control? What's in my control? I may not be able to see the opportunities, but what can I do to prepare myself to be moving up? I don't want to say ladder, but moving up the ladder when the person that sees the opportunity is looking for someone to fill that void and add value here. So that's what I want to say to the people. Jeff, anything else about the next 4 years to let people be motivated and stop having their vodka tonics because they're sad about what the hell happened 7 days ago?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I went way too deep down the rabbit hole for you. I definitely, I am 100% committed to just laser focus. Like what I would say is, like, develop yourself a sense of urgency, right? With this time. So like, imagine that the next 1,000 days or the next 3 years is your time. Like, can you develop a level of focus to your vision, to your goals, to your production that can change your entire life during that period of time? Like, just utilize this. I don't know. If you want to be crazy like me, say this might be the last chance you ever get where the economic fucking environment is staged for growth. So what I'm encouraging everybody in the Tactical Empire to do is act like the next 4 years are make or break for your entire fucking future and financial future. And what you can do is, if you can lay out a roadmap for your vision that you can achieve in 3 years, and you can actually stay focused on it for the majority of that time, you can change your entire life. And let's say you don't hit your goals, right? It's like aim for the fucking moon, land in the stars, some shit like that. I don't know what they say, but something like that. So like, if you say that same exact model, is your life going to be better off if you follow me into this level of focus for the next 3 years? Or is your life going to be worse off? I guarantee you will have zero regrets. if you work like your life depends on it and your family's future depends on it for the next 3 years, the place you're going to land, you can call me and thank me. Or it has nothing to do with me. It doesn't matter. I don't give a shit. Like whatever you do, just do that. And so for me, when I talk about that, I have to because I do develop a false sense of urgency. I'm like, imagine if this happens. Imagine if we never have the ability to produce on this level again. Like, do I want to land at $50 million in 3 years? Or do I want to not do anything and chug along with the status quo with minimal growth year over year? Or do I want to look for exponential growth to where I can land there and look back and be like, fuck, I'm glad we did that, man, because that opportunity would never present itself ever in my life again. And you don't want to be the guy on the backside of that regrets not taking advantage of it because you wanted to chill for one more football season or something. I don't know what it is, but I mean, we all do that shit. And so you're not going to be able to focus for 3 straight years. It's impossible, but you're going to do the best you can with a structure. Like I talk about staying in the rails, right? You just want to deviate from those rails the most limited amount of time that you can. Like for me, whether it's getting partying out of your system or whatever you're doing, like you have to evaluate your habits and then examine your vision and your goals constantly. If you're not looking at them every day, it's hard to stay focused. Like if you just write them down, stuff them in a drawer and come back to them next year, you're not going to be able to stay focused on what you're doing. But now is the time to fucking sell out for yourself, your future, and your family. Because if you can run the score up over the next few years, like you're going to be in a place that is you're unrecognizable to who you are today. And that's where you want to be. You want to be a completely different person. You want to be a completely different financial position. You want to be a completely different father. Like all that shit is possible. How you spend your time, where you spend your time, how much money you have, how much passive income you have, pseudo passive income, whatever the fuck it is, what assets you have on your bottom line. You can change all of that in the next 3 years with focus. And I would suggest that you don't take that slightly and you dial in, get focused, and do it.
Well, you know how to motivate the right people. If that right there did not motivate you, you might not be ready for what's about to happen over the next 4 years, and you might not be ready for what's happening inside the inner circle. Our men are prepped; they're prepared. We've been talking about it for the last 7 days, and they started with Momentum Monday today, as of this recording, on telling us what actions they're taking. So, Jeff, we're ready. We're primed. We know we're not going to be in the same seats doing the same damn thing 4 years from now from today, because we are going to look at the landscape and we're going to take advantage of it for ourselves, our families, and those around us, which, yes, is actually going to stimulate and help a ton of people out. And that's what I'm excited about. So, Jeff, send the people out.
Guys, if this has resonated with you, hit me up. I'm happy to talk to you about any of this stuff. I'll help you. You don't have to pay us. Like, I mean, we'll figure that out eventually. If you're not in the inner circle, I understand. If you're a female and you need help with some of this, let me know. Just because we don't have any ability to put you in the inner circle if you're a girl, but like I'm still happy to help you win. So if you want to get focused and you want to be part of like a winning circle, let us know because I'm happy to help. Have a great day. Have a great week. Keep winning.